What is going on, agency owners? This is Jordan Ross, founder of 8-Figure Agency, where we make it easy for you to scale your business and remove yourself from the operation. And on this call, I got a close friend, a longtime client, the beast, Tyler Mullins, founder of Omni Agency, who has been able to add $100,000 in monthly recurring revenue with us in 9 months. And on this call, we're going to be going through and breaking down the 5 to 7 top strategies that allowed him to go fucking full send. 7 top strategies. I just pulled it up. So for everyone that does not know you, Tyler, what's good? This is take 2, everyone. We record this. I fucked it up and we're going to do it again. So Tyler, for everyone that does not know you, who are you and what is Omni Agency?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for the lovely epithets you gave me as through the introduction there. But basically, the founder of Omni Agency, as you're indicating, I like to refer to myself as a serial entrepreneur, as I've started a couple of businesses now. But with the help of ADEF, this Omni Agency has definitely been the one that's caught the most momentum. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And basically, what we do is we specialize in Web3 community building and community marketing, and it's kind of an interesting story how we niche down, and I think we'll probably talk about that today.
Oh yeah, that will definitely be one of the points. So guys, what we're gonna do is this is basically a story of how Tyler built a 7-figure agency. Right when he came in with us, he was doing like $20,000. He was running a loss, and he would not describe himself as a Web3 agency back then. This is when I met him. I met him about a year ago, November 2021, and we started working with him in like February-ish. So when we met, Tyler, let's just give a context, right? So you were doing like 20, 30K. You had a really strong Q4 in 2021. And give context, who were you coming into the new year 2022 when we met? And guys, for everyone, he was 21 when we started working. He's now 22, but this kid is a fucking savage to be at this point. So I think in this conversation, I do not overlook the fact that, like, yes, he is 21, but you have to be a really like hard worker and you have to be a smart person to still be able to do these things. This is not like something that every 21-year-old can do, right? Even though when you work with ADEF, we can help you. But Tyler, give context. Let's dive in.
Yeah, and as you were saying, it's a testament to the fact that if I can do it, like most people can probably do it, especially if they have that age advantage. But to your question there, Jordan, so stepping into 2022, which is when we, began our relationship, as you said, we had a really strong quarter in 2021. What we were focusing on was just throwing a bunch of money at trying to grow. And that's exactly what we did. We grew aggressively, but we had no logistics on the background or infrastructure on the background to support that growth. So stepping into 2022, it's a bit of a fragment in my mindset, knowing that we just recently actually lost quite a bit of revenue as a result of being able to not maintain those clients. And something I also was aware of is like what we need desperately is a unique selling proposition and a better niche to operate in, to allow us to, even though we're getting in all these leads, to allow us to close them at a more effective retainer and keep them and differentiate ourselves better from the competition.
Yeah. And guys, I think this is when we met Tyler. I remember looking over the P&L. This is, I think, the most common pitfall of being 2018 to like 2021 running an agency. The marketplace really tells you to emphasize top line, right? So Tyler did 40, 50K in Q4. I think he did 40, 50K November, December. He churned a bunch of clients, but he had a lot of cash on hand and he's like, I'm going to go ham. I'm going to invest this money back into the business. So in January, he actually ran a loss because the marketplace is like, top line revenue, go fucking chase it, right? So this was our starting point with him. One of the first things we did with you, Tyler, we worked through the P&L. We identified 3 major things that, at that level, right? You come in, you're running a loss. I remember Zach and I are like, we need to make you profitable immediately. We looked at 3 things: your contractors, and there were some contractors we were overpaying, legacy clients, and then multiple services. So walk us through these 3 things: contractors, legacy clients, and multiple services. What did we do that impacted the P&L and allowed you to start running a profit and a nice sized profit as a result of these 3 changes?
Yeah, exactly. So speaking to your question, I'm going to be referring to we as like Omni in the team, and of course, I look at 8F as part of that team at this point in our long relationship. So immediately, again, as you were saying, the big thing that we recognized as needing improvement was on the P&L side of things. Contractors were being compensated much more than they needed to be, and one thing really beautifully was that our structure with a lot of our contractors was based on the fact that if we do good, the contractors do good. But if we do bad, the contractors continue doing good. So trying to put in place a relationship dynamic where the contractors involved and they're growing with us essentially was one of the things that we looked at from a flexible compensation standpoint. In addition to that, we also looked at where could we shave costs. Just getting, I think it was you and Zach both took a look at it, but getting your eyes in and on the P&L really pointed out a lot of things that I just didn't recognize. Jordan, I actually can't recall a specific, a specific example from that. Are you able to recall an example?
I got it. Yeah, I have the notes. So one of the things, so we had the contractors and legacy clients. So walk us through, we had unprofitable legacy clients. So like they were paying out a lot, but we were still working with them as paying our team and running all the normal expenses. And then we were also running multiple services. So we weren't getting economies of scale. So walk us through those two legacy clients and then the services, how that impacted P&L.
Awesome. I love that you have the notes there. Thanks. Thanks, Jay Ross. Yeah. So
all in the history, baby.
All in the history. So on the side of the legacy clients, one thing that I thought was a really important lesson was that you have to find the margin that you want to stick to and be able to ripple that through the client deck that you have. Just taking a look at on a client by client basis, the margins were all over the place. So clients that were just consuming labor capital, but bringing very little free cash flows, just looking to terminate or change the relationships with those clients was one of the big things that we put in place immediately. The second thing that we did, what was the second example, sorry, Jordan, that you gave there?
So this is going to actually lead to point number 2, but the services, right? You were offering several services too.
Exactly.
And that coincided with the legacy clients. Like margins were all over the place because you were like running 3-4 services. And guys, I tell agency owners, I got off the phone with a full service agency owner yesterday who's doing 700,000 annually. He has literally every service you can imagine. He's like, my margins suck. And I'm like, yeah, no shit, they suck. You don't get economies of scale. If you have 8 different services and you're doing less than $1 million, your people are not running good profits on these accounts. So like, yeah, so we were like, we need to really focus on one core offer. So the one core offer to the $1 million. And what was that offer? Because we picked the niche and we picked the offer. So talk us through that, because that was, in my opinion, that is the most important decision we made in Q1 that is leading to why we're here right now. So what was that decision? What did we choose and why?
Yeah, you couldn't be more right. Being able to niche down into one specific service was honestly paramount to a lot of the success that came after. So the decision was to niche into Web3 specifically. We niched into Web3 specifically, Web3 being an industry, blockchain, crypto, whatever the buzzword is that you want to refer to it as. But we niched into that industry, one, because we did some really good market research before stepping into that space. But the second thing, and this is a term that I think I got from you, you kind of coined it as a blue ocean. Like, hey, there's a lot of opportunity and little competition in this space. That's evident through the market research. Let's step into this where we can build a stronger, unique selling proposition. Immediately in line with that, I think at the exact same time, what we did was we reduced from a full service agency offering, I think it was like 7 to 10 different services with no systemization behind each of those services. And as a result, trying to balance, 8 juggling balls at the same time, I'm a poor juggler. But if I'm just flipping one ball over and over again, I can build my strengths up there. And that's kind of, the thought process behind that, the paradigm behind that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the shiny object syndrome. You get a client and you start having a conversation with them around, oh, you need web development. Oh, you need this. Oh, you need that. And eventually you start offering multiple services, but you're not profitable and it's taking up a lot of your time. So I could not, to everyone listening, I could not hone in on this more. Like Tyler had the discipline to say, all right, I'm going to focus on Web3 and what I call it social media management, right? You do a lot more than just that, but we'll call it that for simplicity. Yeah. When we made that change, shit started to change, right? We started to get a lot more clients, but there was also one more thing at the initial go around that we were focusing on. It was your mindset, right? Yeah. Like I remember coming in, you were big bright eyes, like big vision. and it's so interesting how you grow so fast, man. But like
Mm,
you were just focusing on top line cash flow. I need it, like I want to get the cash flow as fast as possible. And I think, any 21 year like fuck anyone. Anyone wants that, right? I want that. I want the cash flow as fast as fucking possible. And I
yeah,
remember one of the things we were walking through is profitability, which we already talked about, but then also mastery, right?
yeah.
Walk us through what changed when we started talking like we need to become best in class. How did that shift your outlook on delivery and the agency you're building?
Yeah, great question. So it just shifted it from a standpoint of trying to build the structure that supports being that best in class delivery. And I mean, there's two facets to, in my opinion, this question. One facet the business development side of things. The second facet the mindset side of things. And I'm just going to focus on the mindset briefly before I segue into the second facet. Like mindset is everything at the end of the day, especially in the early stages of building a business. And I think this is oftentimes under discussed. Like you are the business, like no questions about it. You can read a book called Built to Sell. I think it's a fantastic book. And until you get to the point where you're in that position, you're built to sell, you're the business and you need to
You are
take care of the
everything.
business
Yeah.
first and foremost. Exactly. So the mindset shift that really changed when it comes to best in class experience was look at this in the macro scale, not the micro scale. There's constant fires and storms on a consistent basis, and that's as a result of trying to define and refine the product that I'm looking to build here. And those fires, the more fires that you put out, the better position realistically that you're getting in. A lot of the mindset training that we did, which was just kind of slowing down, deep breath, re-perspective or reframing your perspective on different scenarios really helped with again pulling the micro away from the macro environment, which is really important. Jordan, I'm not sure if you want to chime in before I transition to the second facet here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I'm actually going to segue with you to the
Yeah,
lead gen. But I think for me, the number one thing that I really think that's just overlooked, right? Playing the game the right way with the right systems at the right speed. When we niched, and this is part of the mastery, we niche, we're like, we're gonna build the best in class service, period. Right? We're gonna build a better delivery than anyone. And what's going to be super, it's going to, when we are only working with Web3, when we're only doing one service, it's only going to take 5, 10 clients to start to build a reputation. Right.
yeah,
And that
hmm
actually led us to lead gen and business development. You have what I thought was one of the coolest, most unique strategies. I had never, and I still have not spoken to an agency owner that's doing this. You are purchasing your way onto publications to effectively build a backlinking strategy that's leading to a lot of like 70% of your lead gen and appointment set. So walk us through like what is that strategy? Why does that work so well for you? Because I think it's
yeah,
so unique, and I know you had started like when you were here in September, you told me you were going to do this on YouTube too. So I'm actually curious if you did that as well. But walk us through this. What is this strategy? How are you doing it? And why is it working?
yeah. So you had a great high level overview of it. Essentially, you know, it's the same framework as SEO. The whole SEO model is built on digital real estate being findability and these different long tail keywords that you're trying to use. All that we simply did was identify, okay, what are 10 to 20 common search phrases that somebody that's looking for what we have to offer is going to search up on Google. Oftentimes, there's going to be companies ranking for some of the lower competition ones, but on the higher competition keywords, especially things like, just for the sake of an example, top social media marketing agencies Canada or top social media marketing agencies USA, etc. There's going to be listing sites, and these listing sites house anywhere from like 10 to 20 websites where they're saying basically, here's the top 10, here's the top 20 of these companies, of these organizations. There's some companies that are out there, companies, for example, Good Firms and Clutch.co, that dominate a lot of search results for more of these popular keywords. But in a nutshell, all that we did was we identified those phrases, we searched them up online. We then reached out to all the people that were ranking well with those articles, and we looked to pay for listing within those articles. We're already getting higher perceived social proof within those articles because they're saying, here's the top 10, here's the top 20 agencies that do this on the internet. So basically, the strategy was as a result of getting linked in those articles. Traffic would come back to our website. Website was optimized to receive conversions, and that was one of our lead generation strategies we put in place. A little bit of a more detailed breakdown of it
Yeah.
there.
No, I remember I heard that. I was like, yo, this shit. And guys, this is why Tyler's unique, right? Like he has a unique outlook on how he was able to set appointments. And, I think a big component of your success, you were able to generate your appointments. The best clients we work with are able to do that. And I think this is, to your point, serial entrepreneur, this isn't your first rodeo. So you came into the business already with this frame, this strategy. This wasn't the first time you had seen it or heard it, right? So I think, guys, like, this is how the business landscape is changing. Like, agency owners are getting younger and younger. You're learning business development strategies, which ultimately allowed us to, because you had that part down, we were able to focus on ops. And when we started focusing on ops, it was like, how do we effectively manage these people at scale? And we focus on two models: the org chart, who does what, and the standard work checklist. So like, what do those two things mean to you? And like, how did those two models and systems allow you to start managing your people at scale?
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness, I love the standard work checklist. I can't say this enough. Any agency owner that I step online with, I feel like my free value to them is just showing them this facilitation method of their team. But to speak to your question, Jordan, after I nerded it out about the SWCL there a little bit, so the org chart, we just had very little operational structure. Like team members, especially shifting from full service into single service, team members were kind of doing different variations of different jobs. So being able to compartmentalize the different team members and clearly lay out in a visual structure what each person's responsible with, and then try and define success for them. In terms of KPIs, in terms of activities on a weekly basis, and then in terms of what we want to see from a growth standpoint from those individuals. And then the SWCL plays perfectly into being able to facilitate that growth. We define success as, for example, in the project management role, helping clients hit KPIs, maintaining quick and consistent communications with them, and also assisting clients by going above and beyond. So the standard work checklist, what it does is it essentially facilitates daily, weekly, and monthly continuous and repetitive operations for a project manager or a different team member, so that we're able to enjoy, and you would probably explain this better than me, but so that we're able to effectively list, here's the different activities that we want to see you doing across those different frequencies. Please indicate to us in this SWCL when you're doing those activities. So I keep an eye on it from a management perspective, but also I'm able to build the daily, weekly, and monthly frequencies from a standpoint of how do we get to that KPI? How do we help them get to success? And then just make sure that we're tweaking and iterating as they're on that path, that journey forward. Jordan, I'm not sure if you want to add or clarify anything there.
I think it really is that simple. I think I got on a call today with one of the most established young entrepreneurs I know. He's 23, and he's a big brand, so I don't want to like really put this in, but I'm sharing this to highlight how rare this process is. This guy's 23 years old. He's a serial entrepreneur. This guy's profiting millions of dollars. It's egregious. He's like so wealthy at 23. And in his agencies and his businesses, they don't have a common, and what it really is, it's a project management process, right? It's a way of effectively managing your team members. For every team member, when you manage a client, you have the same repeating tasks daily and weekly, the same things over and over. So you fill out this checklist, or you fill out your project management checklist, and it gets auto reported out to me. So I know as a founder that everyone's doing the right thing. And I sat down with this 23-year-old multi-millionaire. He is liquid like millions from his businesses. Didn't have this, right? And he's capping out because he could only get to a certain level of millions. And this is actually one of the first things I did in my audit today. I found this. So yeah, so we implemented this for Ty. We implement this for everyone, that if you do this one thing, it will change your game. So you can actually DM me. I'll send you that. So Ty, we did all these things. It got us to about 50, 60K monthly recurring revenue. Then we plateaued and you came to LA, right? Where we ran something called the command center. The command center, for everyone that doesn't know, probably no one knows this. It's basically identifying the flow of data through your business. How many appointments do you set a month? How many sales calls do you close? What's your onboarding capacity? What's your fulfillment capacity? What's your LTV? When we ran the command center, we found you were closing, I think it was on average, one deal a month, right? So you were trained, the way you got trained, it was typical sales. So even though in the blue ocean, like you're generating like 20 appointments a month, or no, 10, 15 appointments a month, right? Even though it's blue ocean, you're still able to get all those appointments because you are niched. The competition was so like tough that we weren't able to close at a high closing rate. So what we dove into was consultative selling, right? Instead of pitching, you do a few things that will actually change the process. So for everyone who doesn't know consultative sales, walk everyone through what that process is, because guys, this led to Tyler adding in literally 1 month, $50,000 a monthly recurring revenue. There's one fucking change, $50,000 a monthly recurring in 1 month. So what is consultative sales? What did you learn and what did you implement that actually led to such a big jump?
Yeah, for sure. So consultative sales, at least the way that you helped me understand it, was trying to walk the clients to their end goal. So all the while you're trying to walk them to that end goal, you're also providing them with consultation, that value add, that secret sauce you could refer to it as. But essentially, how I like to visualize it is explain to the client, here's where you're currently at. You're starting at standpoint A. Where you're looking to go is standpoint B. What does the gap look like in between standpoint A to standpoint B? And what is the value that I'm going to provide you as I explain to you and visualize for you how to go from standpoint A to standpoint B? And that's on a high level kind of what that looks like. And I think interestingly enough, played into the day-to-day operations of sales activities. I hop on, I think it's like 3 to 5 sales calls a day right now. And by being able to, first leverage that on a high level, explain that to our clients on a high level conversationally, the supporting assets that I developed to support that process, I think were what was most profound. And right off the bat, one thing that you pointed out was, hey, like, your offering's way too complex. Your sales deck is way too complex, and you have no visualization in your sales process. So immediately creating a logistics deck, which walks them through like, hey, this is the whole shebang of what working with us is like, and then creating a better sales deck to support selling the story. Those two resources in combination with that new sales approach and extending it from a two sales call funnel to a 3 sales call funnel, I found was the big impactful things that we did.
Yeah, I'm the last time we had this call, I felt super proud that you were able to articulate it so well, and I feel just as proud on this call. But I find on the marketplace, everyone is pitching, and consultative sales is more about inviting, right? So the analogy I give prospects is like, hey, you can join us or not. We're fucking crushing it because we're great at what we do. And this is a party, right? The party gets bigger every month and every quarter. You can go, but like, we'll keep the party rolling. So it's an invitation to join my party. And yeah, what Tyler, you called out, what's your pain point and like, where are you at today? Like, where do you want to be? And that just creates a clear gap. And if you just consult them, hey, do you mind if I show you, educate you on how you can actually get to that desired spot? And that thing that you educate them is your solution. And then if you pull up, to your point, a really nice visual, a deck that walks them through a story of how to get there. And then you slide in, hey, do you want to see, would you be curious to see how we could help you do this? So guys, if this is something that you do not know how to do, you should book a call with us at 8F and stay tuned to the end of the podcast where I'll give you the link that you could go to book a call. We teach you how to do this. It led $50,000 in MRR for Tyler. And like, Ty, do you expect any more new business this month from that process as a result?
Yeah, it seems like we're probably going to close in around the same amount of leads this month and an equivalent amount of revenue this month. That's what it's looking like. Yeah.
So you're going to add another $50,000.
It's very possible. That's what's on the pipeline right now.
So in 2 months after learning this process, Tyler Mullins will add $100,000. Are you fucking kidding me, bro? Like, yo, this is sick. Okay, so guys, you go.
So one thing I was going to just chime in there, it's the trickle down, right? Like, we implemented this process that you suggested. And right now, I think we're getting in and around 60 to 90 leads, a percentage of those being qualified. And the trickle down is being able to touch on that process across all the qualified leads that we're getting. It trickles down into what the closing rate looks like. And with us, we don't need to close a lot of leads to drive a huge amount of top line MRR to the pipeline by any means. So the fact that we're able to even improve our closing rate marginally across 60 qualified leads, for the sake of an example here, is just absolutely profound for us. Like what it does for the business at the end of the day is incredible. So again, the
Yeah.
sales process just being like one of the holy grails of the relationship that we've pulled away from this that have allowed us to, 100x basically our ROI that we get working with it. I think is something insanely important to call out.
Yeah. And I have some of your data here from when we did it. Roughly 40-50% of people that show on call are qualifying. Guys, Tyler qualifies because not everyone's a fit for you too. They could have the funds, but they might not be a fit. So like he qualifies, and then we were closing at roughly a 7% closing rate, which is really common for most agencies. And then we like pretty much tripled it, right? And just tripling that has led to this. So guys, like those are the 7 steps, right? To recap, we focused on niching, P&L, mindset, KPIs and goals, standard work checklist, the command center sales process. We added $100,000 in monthly recurring revenue in 9 months. And in 10 months, it'll be 150,000. So Tyler, for everyone that wants to learn about you and your agency, where can they check you out? Where can they check Omni out?
Yeah, so you can find me personally on LinkedIn, Tyler Mullins on LinkedIn, Mullins. Omniagency.ca is our website, and that's where you'll find out all the information about what we do, where we specialize, and just to make sure it's clear what we do in case any of you are interested in potentially working with us or partnering with us. We specialize in Web3, community growth, and community management. We do a lot of growth hacking, a lot of guerrilla marketing, and a lot of community nurturement tactics. It's really quite special, the product that we've built here, that's for sure. Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, it's fucking baller. And guys, if you are, and after listening to this, if you are ready to do the same thing, if you're ready to add $100,000 a monthly recurring revenue, make management easy, build great processes, and guys, you can hear the compounding. Tyler, in a 2-month period, will add $100,000 a monthly recurring revenue. This is the compounding of working with us for 10 months. Go to 8figureagency.co/call, CALL, and that will lead you to a booking link where you could book with us. Guys, this is what we do. Every single client has this level of success, and it's a fucking lock. So don't wait. If you book right now and you mention on the call that you booked through this podcast, we will give you only for the next 7 days after this podcast airs a $500 discount. $500 discount after the next 7 days once this podcast airs. So guys, thank you so much. Tyler, thank you so much. And stay tuned, agency owners.